lay this before you. Choose wisely.
Yeah, put chain on them balls on my mom. They be broken balls. Kill some of my mom. Bro, they back me look like gang. That's on my monkey. Gang. That's on my monkey. Gang. That's on my monkey.
Relationship deprivation.
When you date a woman and she may be a potential wife, it's a competition thing all the way. I can't take it no more.
They feel propped up because they feel more beholden to the government. And then their man comes second. That's why they figure that they're strong, independent, don't need no man because they have the government.
Because the men are failing us, to be honest. Guys thinking about themselves and they'll think about you after you react.
You don't hear anything about being good wives and all this other stuff. What you hear is you strong and you independent. You can do it on your own. You got black girl magic, black girl rock, but you ain't said nothing about black family.
My mother is like what they consider to be the strong black woman. I feel like I projected that onto the guys that I dated.
Ladies have no idea how stiff their competition really is. You have no clue how black men are viewed in the rest of the world. We are the #1 most sexually desired man on the face of this planet.
They would call Jesus Dusty if he was here living in America because of the gross narcissism that a lot of our women have.
Power deprivation.
His money doesn't go to his child. His money goes to the system.
Personal accountability is one of those things that just goes across the board.
It's none of his business how it's being spent. Just pay the money and we'll take care of the rest.
I see why people walk away. I see why dads walk away. And it's the system. It's the system that's driving them away.
I let her know I ain't got no money for no Jordans. You call your dad or do whatever you gotta do. You can get 2 pair a year, that's it.
The non-custodial father has rights. So the mother just jumps up and say, you can't see your child, I can't go see the child.
When he said that he was going to take all of my custodial rights away, I was literally devastated.
The family court is one of the most dangerous courtroom, the most dangerous courtroom in the world.
This makes it near impossible. I can't understand how most guys can even begin to approach the situation.
When a woman gets pregnant, one of these basketball players, baseball players, wealthy guys, it's called a cash register. Because that's what that child is. It's a cash register.
There is no accountability. You write that check or you go to jail.
Affection deprivation.
Women are noticing that their men are crossing the borders to find happiness, romance, or even just somebody to have a good time, hang out with. I come to Brazil, I sit down at the table, I order food. Young lady places a drink in front of me, opens my straw, puts it in my glass, and I'm chilling. Doesn't make her less of a woman, doesn't make me more of a man. It's just that we have different roles in life, and she knows hers, and I know mine.
Several years ago, I read an article from Essence magazine in regards to African-American men going to Brazil.
There's been a number of articles since the Essence store.
The article was not pleasant at all. It was quite negative.
The article is racially motivated, and to me it's just another attack on the black man.
I feel in conversating with other guys who have friends here, you should come here and experience what she has to offer Brazil.
People that write the article saying that they don't understand why we come to this place or any other place or bias because they've never experienced it.
Every black man should come down one time before you be put in this earth to see how this culture treats you. It's heaven.
You don't want to come down to Rio
I said, because if you do, you're going to come back thinking, how can I get rid of her? You know, and I said, that's, I can't put it to you on. I said, if you married and you love your wife and you're satisfied, I said, don't come here.
If you're looking for cheap sex with pretty girls, I think to a certain extent, you're almost like a predator.
They are nothing but lies, and they should not have been accepted by the black women. That article is to bridge the gap between you, and that's the reason that article came by.
It's not an issue until the black man starts doing it.
I agree.
Got an itch in my palm. My girl, she know she the one. I put the ice on her hand. I put some ice on her arm. See me shining in the light. Know you found me in the dark. Talking how you wanna leave. Girl, you made this far. Taking trips overseas. No, I won't be long. We came up from the weeds. Now it's top floor. All these big gets on her wrist. VVS is on her neck. Make it spin and I don't stress. When I make it stretch. Double back to back then. Down broke, now we rich. Spend it on her, let her spin. Down with me to the end. That my best friend. That my best friend. That my best friend. I'ma spend it on her, cause she all mine. Spend it on a challenge, cause she all mine. There for my first cake, then we hit 100K. $500,000 on the way, then $1 million on the way. Eating good, full plates, eating good, say grace. Eat her up, get thanks. She got cake birthday. I can't waste no way, I can't waste no play. My girl, whoa, whoa, something like the baddest chick. My girl, whoa, whoa, came up from the rags to rich. Hit the road running, I had to tell her I had to get it. She understood, but she spoiled, so when she get mad, she dip. All these big gets on her wrist, VVS is on her neck. Make it spin and I don't stress. When I make it stretch. Double back to back then. Down broke, now we rich. Spend it on her, let her spin. Down with me to the end. That my best friend. That my best friend. That my best friend. I'ma spend it on her, cause she all mine. Spend it on a challenge, cause she all mine. All these big gets on her wrist, VVS is on her neck. Make it spin and I don't stress. When I make it stretch. Double back to back then. Down broke, now we rich. Spend it on her, let her spin. Down with me to the end. That my best friend. That my best friend. That my best friend. I'ma spend it on her, cause she all mine. All these big gets on her wrist, VVS is on her neck. Make it spin and I don't stress. Spend it on a challenge, cause she all mine. That my best friend. That my best friend. That my best friend.
right, guys, we're going to drop it up on the night, chop it up. I'm sorry. On tonight, as I drop some fire for your mind, we're going to talk about something that's been very problematic for many of you young brothers that are listening and watching. The question remains, guys, on tonight is this. Are bad mothers causing chaos in the world, and have it impacted you? Have you been impacted by a bad mother? Now, we're going to talk about it, guys, because some of the struggles that you are having on tonight is because you have been a victim of a bad mother, a mother that does not love you, a mother that's, some will argue, hold tight, some will argue is selfish, and also a mother that's put you in a predicament where you felt like you had to defend for her, but also defend for yourself. And that's what happens, guys, when you are a byproduct of, once again, guys, a bad mother. We know that there are solid mothers that do the best that they can. Shout out to all the good mothers that do the best that they can. But some of you guys have been victims of bad mothers, and it's impacted your relationships. It's impacted how you see the world. And for some of you guys, it's caused you a lot of mental health issues, to the point that some of you guys even have a disdain for women because you have been impacted by, once again, bad mothers. And listen, men and women live through the vicarious trauma of their mothers. Men and women live, guys, through the vicarious trauma of their mothers. And when men are not getting their needs met, when girls are not getting their needs met, they can grow up in communities and homes where they are dysfunctional. So, you know, I've done shows in the past, and I've used a little clip on my mama. The guy named is Yellow Beezy. And, you know, it's synonymous to what we call art imitating life. In the meantime, before we get deeper to the show, shout out to my man Ricardo Gray for that $5 super sticker. Ricardo Gray, thank you, brother. I appreciate it. And Ricardo Gray, as of now, you are the number one, and you are the number one. I gotta find it. Sponsor the stream. Yeah, so once again, Ricardo, thank you, sir, for that $5 super sticker. I appreciate it, Ricardo. Great. But once again, guys, we're going to talk about the chaos that's been ensuing and causing a lot of brothers distress. Shout out to my man, Austin Holland. Austin Holland killing the game right now. Man, Austin Holland, that's my homie, man. He's been killing the game right here recently, man. Austin Holland is all across the internet, chopping up with a lot of people. I look forward to having him again this weekend with Al Greaves and Frustrated 3. But also Holloman said, my mother never ruined my life, but I'm well aware of how this can be true for many men. Just stopping to support. Man, I appreciate it, young man. And that's a deal, right? Thank you, Austin. I appreciate it, young brother. Shout out to Austin Holloman, man. Guys, he's killing the game right now. That young brother is liberating other young men, giving young men hope, and telling men they don't have to deal with the toxicity here in America, because many of the women that have been raised by their mothers are exhibiting the behavior the brother Austin Holloman and so many other men dislike. And we're not here to castigate women. We're not here to castigate all moms, but we know that there are bad mothers just like there are bad fathers. But for the sake of argument, have you been a victim of a bad mother? And because you have been a victim of a bad mother, have you asked yourself the question, when it comes down to doing something stupid, when you do it, you get tempted to hurt folks, you get tempted to get into some type of violent confrontation. When you get frustrated, this is what many of you guys say and do, and you get in trouble to the point that you'll say, my mom.
Yeah, put chain on the balls on my mom. That be broken mom. Kill some of my mom. They back me look like gang. That's on my monkey. Gang. That's on my monkey. Gang. That's on my monkey.
And so, Mr. Palmer always does a great job talking about the BMTs or the baby mama terror. Shout out to him. Shout out to Mr. Palmer for saying that. What Mr. Palmer is saying is true. Listen, the way a person is shaped, a child, girl, or boy, the way they are shaped many times It's based on how they were raised, and based on how they were raised based on being under their mothers. And so when you get with a woman that's an honorable mother, a good woman, it doesn't cause a child to be in a state of distress. So many of our children, guys, are being raised in homes where they don't have strong fathers. They've been raised in bad neighborhoods. And in the clinical world, guys, we call it risk factors and protective factors. The risk factors, guys, are those factors that make children feel healthy and whole. The protective factors are those factors that make children feel healthy and whole. But the risk factors, guys, are bad communities, lack of resources, lack of money, lack of fathers, lack of protection. And what that does, it puts a child in a negative predicament or a negative state where they can get involved in gangs and they can do things that are counterintuitive to their better understanding. But some of you guys that are listening grew up in the inner cities. Some of you guys grew up in circumstances that were less than stellar. And some of you guys were the byproduct of bad and toxic moms to the point that you are broken now. Some of you guys have a disdain for some women because of being around bad mothers. And it's not your fault. You can't help it. But when you know better, you got to do better. When you know better, you must do better. I'm going to show you guys something as I get deeper into the show. I want to show you guys something real quick. And, Yellow Beezy, he's a rapper, an ardent rapper. And when Yellow Beezy talks about the things that he's talking about, many times Yellow Beezy will say, on my mama. And many times you guys have said, on my mama. Once again, anytime you're getting caught up in a situation that might be problematic for you. But I want to show you guys something real quick. I'm going to show you guys something about what protective factors and risk factors are. And then we're going to get deep into the show. But once again, shout out to Mr. Palmer. And shout out to all the ones that are listening on tonight as I try to give you guys clarity. So as a clinical therapist, guys, we look at what's called risk factors and protective factors. Risk factors and protective factors in child development. Some of you have had your development arrested based on negative risk factors. You never was in an environment where you felt whole and happy. You never knew what it was like to have food on the table. You never knew what it was like to just be a kid. You had to be a son husband. And a son husband many times means it puts you in a predicament where you got to be the father and the son. And because of that, many of you guys feel like you are emboldened to take care of your moms for the rest of your life. Now listen, we're not saying not to take care of honorable mothers. There's some honorable mothers that did the best they could. But some of these moms got with sorry men. They got with dusty men. They got with guys that were worthless. And many times they got with men based on swag, substance, je ne sais quoi. They just had an air about them. The women fell in love with them. And some women just love bad boys. They love them. A lot of girls go through a bad boy stage. But see, when you get with bad boys, many of these bad boys don't end up being good fathers. Sometimes the boring guy is the best guy because he's stable. But see, when you're dealing with Raekwon the Man-Man, they're not stable. They don't care. Because many times Raekwon the Man-Man themselves are the spawns of single moms. And as Bishop Charles E. Williams said, y'all ain't going to talk to me. Now listen, we're going to get deep into it, guys. We're going to get deep into it. And we're going to talk about risk factors and protective factors in child development. As a clinical therapist, guys, we talk about something called the biopsychosocial spiritual model, right? And this is an ecological model that attempts to look into a comprehensive way at the many factors impacting on children's development. The children, their parents, and the wider society, political and cultural context are all operating in a reciprocal way. For example, while parents' interaction affects their child's development, the child's behavioral development associated with brain growth also affects developing relationships. Some of you guys that are listening have been impacted by trauma. Some of the young women that are listening have been impacted by trauma. When a person has been impacted by trauma, it can reduce what's called the neural pathways. In the clinical world, we call it neuroplasticity, meaning it creates new pathways for brain cells to grow. But see, you can't have neuroplasticity when you're being impacted by trauma. Your brain can be undeveloped because you've been impacted by trauma, because you had to be the father and the son in the relationship. And many times, guys, you cannot differentiate or separate yourselves from these toxic moms because you think what you're doing is normal. I've had conversations with young men, in private when I was doing therapy. And the young man told me, he said, when he talked with his mom asked him how to move in a certain direction. And he told me that she said that even if the girl is wrong, just tell the girl you apologize and then you're sorry. And I said, that's wrong, because see what you're doing, you're teaching that woman that her worth and her values are better than yours. And her worth and her values are not better than yours. You have inherent worth and value as a man, and so does she, but it should never supersede yours. There should be an equal level of respect for the man and the woman in the relationship. But so many of you young men and young boys have been placed in predicaments in relationships where you can't be kids. You don't have the power to grow up. And you guys have been more or less arrested in your development because you had to be the father and you had to be the son. And because of that, many stages of your psychosocial development has been impacted to the point it's hurt you or stunted you in relationships. It's impacted how you interact as it relates to broken for power. It's impacted you as it relates to being emotional versus being masculine. It's hurt you because you don't know how to stand on your principles as a man, because your principles should be the guiding stone to your life. So once again, understanding the development requires awareness on many influences. The approach also combined knowledge from previous unrelated disciplines, including education, development, psychology, and neuroscience that I was talking about. All right, so risk factors, because when we get into the story in a few minutes, guys, it's going to make sense. These young boys that played a role, one of the stories is about a young McDonald's employee that ended up killing a man. At one point, the kid was brain damaged, but now he was pronounced dead. So he's going to probably spend 20 years to life in prison because he did it for his mama. He did it for his mama because these toxic moms put their sons, guys, in situations where it's not beneficial to them. And when these guys put their sons in situations that are not beneficial to them, it lets you know, guys, that they don't love the children, they don't love the boys, but they love their own selfish needs. So right now, this young man is going to go to prison because he didn't do it for his daddy, guys. He
put chain on the balls on my mom. They be broken balls. Kill some of my mom. Bro, they back me look like that's on my monkey. That's on my monkey. That's on my monkey.
Yeah, he did it for his mama. And some of you that are listening on tonight, you have done it for your mama. And because you did it for your mama, now you're going to prison and you're going to spend the rest of your life in jail. I'm going to show you guys something again once as well. Hold tight. I'm going to show you guys something else about protective factors and also risk factors. Because all that, guys, is very important when it comes down to helping you understand why you're in the predicament that you're in. Risk factors are conditions, guys, that come before and increase the likelihood at poor outcomes. For examples, it includes behavioral difficulties, poor physical or mental health, low educational achievement, criminal offending, or substance abuse. Some men that are using marijuana and also crack cocaine or drugs as a byproduct of them growing up in bad environments. Now, some would say, well, I know somebody, and they did well and they grew up in the hood and they ended up being okay. Well, that's the exception. That's not the rule. In the clinical world, guys, we call this something, it's called resiliency theory. And resiliency theory basically posits this, that there are some people that are able to supersede their environment and do extremely well. But then there are some folks that are victims of their environment and they don't do well. Resiliency theory. There are some people that are placed in bad environments and they do extremely well. But that's the exception. That's not the rule. The rule is this. Most kids that grow up in the inner city, many of them never get out and they become a victim of their own environment. But there are some that do make it out, but by and large, many don't. So once again, they have behavior problems. Many times those behavior issues is a byproduct of neglect. If it's a byproduct of neglect, guys, many times it can turn into something called, it can lead to personality disorders. Like many women have narcissistic personality disorders, even though many times it's mostly seen in men. But kids that are born in unstable environments because of neglect can develop oppositional defiant disorder, conduct disorder, and many times it can lead to antisocial personality disorders. And a lot of times what you see in Raekwon the Man's undiagnosed mental illness based on neglect as children and not having stable fathers. And what happens and impact boys the most, guys, is this. When boys don't have fathers to lead them and guide them, then they will seek to find identity in gang warfare. That's why places like Chicago, California, and many of those places have been under attack or under arrest because a lot of times these boys are placed in environments where the development is underdeveloped and their development has been arrested. Some of you guys that are listening are byproducts of arrested development. But once again, protective factors are those conditions that lead to higher likelihoods of positive outcomes, that things we typically want for our children. This involves a subtle but important shift of thinking. Risk factors increase the possibility of particular outcomes rather than cause it in a deterministic way. We already know in some areas, for example, while smoking is a risk factor for lung cancer, not everyone that smokes develops lung cancer, true. But there are many identified factors that interesting that these are studied much more frequently than protective factors. Examples include poverty, parental depression, toxic parental stress, family conflict, violence, emotional neglect, something that happens to many of our boys. Shout out once again to Mr. Palmer when we talk about baby mama terrorists, and alcohol and other drug use in pregnancy. So once again, guys, these are risk factors. Some of you are risk factors, anything that can cause your life to be in a negative perspective. Then you got what's called the population perspective. Researchers look at the population rather than the individual perspective and can indicate that being exposed to particular risk factors increase the likelihood of poor outcomes. In other words, individuals vary greatly in their responses to these factors, but there are trends with a large number of people that indicate higher risk of poor outcomes or greater likelihood of positive outcomes. Right, like I said earlier, resiliency theory. An individual perspective might go something like this: my family don't have much money when they didn't have much money when I was growing up, and I turned out well, which is the case for some people. However, from the population perspective, research clearly indicates, as I said, across a large group of people, these people growing up in poverty are more likely to experience a range of difficulties than those who grew up with sufficient resources, yes, to meet their needs. It won't be the cause for all, but it is more likely. As I said earlier, I was correct. Children that grow up in two-parent homes have a greater likelihood of being successful. Children that grow up in neighborhoods where they feel safe have a greater likelihood of being successful. The child has a greater outcome when the father is a masculine man and he's leading his home. But many of you young boys still are wrestling, or men are still wrestling with your development in your younger years because you guys were hurt. You guys were broken by a negative woman. And this toxic mom or this bad mom has more or less impacted your self-esteem and your ability to act as a man. We see it so many times on the internet. The men many times defer to women because they were raised by their mothers. They don't know how to make no decisions. They don't know how to stand on their square as men because they were raised by their mothers. And it's not their fault per se, but once again, when you know better, you got to do better. They don't stand firm on their masculine square or their masculine core, but they'll fight you as a man because, you know, they've never seen men stand firm on masculine principles or on masculine authority. And that's a problem because men need to stand on masculine authority. Men don't need to stand on fickle emotions because fickle emotions do not have positive outcomes because fickle emotions are normally tied to the feminine. And that's not an indictment against women. It's just the way women are wired. The individual perspective, so hold tight. So once again, this does not mean that one factor will lead to the same outcome for every child. Children whose early lifespan are in orphanage is typically considered to be significant risk factors. For example, while some of these kids experience ongoing difficulties, others function normally and some actually excel. That goes back to resiliency theory. All right, so we talk about what's called the bio, the psycho, the social, and the spiritual model. Bio is the body, psycho is the mind, social is the environment, and then spiritual are the spiritual things. When I was at UNC Chapel Hill, we talked about the spiritual, the bio, psycho, social, spiritual model. They all tie in together because they can impact how a person can respond. In the clinical world, we call it a psychosomatic response. Psycho, which is the mind, soma, which is the body. Protective factors. And once again, guys, shout out to XL Pro for that $5 super sticker on Cash App. Thank you, XL Pro. I appreciate it, brother. Always showing support to many male content creators. XL Pro, salute to you, brother. I really appreciate it. But if somebody else is giving as well, I'm on a different screen, so hold tight. But protective factors are the positive end of the protective factors are at the positive end of the risk spectrum. So whereas poor family interactions increase, a family environment rich in positive interaction is protective. Yes. An example of a protective factor supported by research across many disciplines is that a secure attachment between tamati and parent. The attachment becomes even more important where there are risk factors presented. Children, once again, that grow up in homes where they've been neglected because of bad, toxic moms, these boys are more at risk for what's called inhibited or disinhibited attachment styles. Girls tend to be disinhibited. Many times they'll go to strange men because they're looking for love and validation. But inhibited attachment styles mean the person is very rigid. They don't have any boundaries. I mean, they do have boundaries, but they don't know how to interact with people because they've been hurt because of trauma. Children have been neglected, tend to have very foolish behaviors. Breastfeeding is also a protective factor that's been associated with improved child cognitive development. Sadly, many of our women don't breastfeed. They give their babies infant milk and formula. But breastfeeding is an important protective factor which has been associated with improved child cognitive development, meaning the minds are more aware. To further illustrate the interaction between risk factors and protective factors, breastfeeding is associated with more positive interaction between mothers who are depressed and their babies and reduced risk of asthma for children whose mothers smoke during pregnancy. So guys, you'll begin to see where I'm going there, and I'm going to get into the stories in a minute. Give me a few minutes. I'm just trying to give you guys the foundation. And then you're going to see that boys that say, "Oh, my mama," and they don't have fathers actually put themselves in a very negative predicament. Just as exposure to one's risks does not automatically lead to negative outcomes, the presence of a protective factor does not always guarantee positive outcomes either. Risk factors and protective factors exist on many levels, including the child, parent, family, and other community influences. So I think you guys get the point. Genes play a role as well. It's called genetic predisposition. So I think you guys get the point. So I'm going to stop that. But I'm just trying to give you guys a foundational framework to help you guys understand how it all plays a role in the development of a child. We got to break the dysfunction in this so-called community. There's a lot of dysfunction in the black community. There's a lot of dysfunction in America. And many men are saying, "I'm not going to save it. I'm going to save myself." To the point you got brothers that save yourself, black man. I ain't mad at you. Now, I take care of my family and my communities on point, but the greater collective men are saying, "I'm going to save myself because I don't have time to put my life online or on hold because many of these boys are dangerous." Once again, when you get in an argument with them, they won't have a cogent conversation. Raekwon the madman, when they get frustrated, they'll get that heater, and this is what they'll say.
Yeah, put chain on them. Balls on my mom. They be broken balls. Kill some of my mom. They back me look like gang. That's on my monkey. Gang. That's on my monkey. Gang. That's on my monkey.
Shout out to my man William Salter. He said, "I grew up in the 80s and 90s, and we should say, oh God." Jeremiah L. said, "Emotional enmeshment is hard to fight." Yes, sir, it is. Mike OG said that, it feels like you got to throw away your childhood just to be the man in the household. Yes, sir. Before you even started puberty, you 1,000% correct. I agree with you 1,000%, Mike OG. You're right, brother. And my heart goes out to a lot of those men because I've seen it, and you guys have seen it. You guys have seen it, I've seen it. It's not healthy for a child because children should be allowed to be children. Jeremiah L. also said the mother figure wants a trophy to show off to make her son look good. Once she discards a child, she throws him to the wolves to raise himself. And you guys are going to see that. Shout out to my dear friend Luke Casey. How you doing, dear? And she said modern society is showing us the great importance of father figures in young men's lives. Yes, ma'am. You're 1,000% correct. Children growing up in homes with fathers have a greater risk of being successful and sustainable than those said kids that grow up in families without strong and agreeable and sustainable fathers. You're 1,000% correct. Guys, I need you guys to do me a favor. In the meantime, guys, hit the like button. And I need you guys to do me one favor because the robot is hungry and the robot got to pay bills. Hold tight. Now, guys, before we get deep into this show on tonight, I want you guys to hit one if you've been impacted by a toxic mom or a bad mom. I want you guys to hit 1 if you've been impacted by a toxic mom or a bad mom. I want you guys to hit 2 if you have not been impacted by a toxic mom or a bad mom. I'm trying to see something in this small sample size. There's 42 people in this room on tonight. Most of them are men, some are women, men or women, but I'm speaking majority to the men. If you have been impacted by a bad mom, when she's put you in a bad predicament or a bad environment, I need you to hit 1. To the women, I need you to hit 2. I mean, the men or women, I need you to hit 2 if you have not been impacted by bad moms or bad environments. Because you guys going to see in a minute how these women put their sons in a bad predicament. And now these boys are going to jail. Many are going to the grave. Many were talking about the story last week about what I call the McDonald's massacre, guys. And I give you guys warning because it is graphic. Give me a minute, guys. Hold tight. And if, guys, you have not donated to the channel, donate to the channel. Jeremiah L. said the male has to suffer because the vulnerability is viewed as weakness in the real world. Yes, sir. You're right, brother. I agree with you 1,000%. Shout out to Top Gun for that $5 super sticker. I appreciate it, Top Gun. Thank you, sir. I really appreciate it. Jeremiah L. said narcissists treat boundaries like an insult to control and will sabotage worse the Black Wall Street incident. Yes, sir. And, Jeremiah L., the problem is this. As I said earlier, where narcissistic personality disorder often is in men, a lot of these girls have been impacted by bad mothers as well. Some of you women that are listening, you potentially could have developed narcissistic personality disorders because you were a victim of neglect. So kids are in bad environments. They have bad mothers. Many times, guys, they're going through what's called survival mode. These children are going through survival mode. So what they do, many times they pick up very negative traits because they're trying to survive. These children have very fragile egos based on trauma. As I told you guys before in the past, most narcissists have very fragile egos. Their egos are very fragile because they've been impacted by the negative associations of dealing with the women in their lives. And so some of these girls also, or these boys and girls, have been impacted by their mom to the point, as I said earlier, the boys sometimes could develop narcissistic personality disorder and oppositional and antisocial personality disorders, but many times the girls can as well. So when you're not guarding your kids and putting your child in the best environment to become safe, then you greatly increase the risk factors with that child's behavior. And that's sad because these children have been hurt. So based on what I'm seeing now, everybody's saying 1. Jeremiah L. said 1. Top Gun said 1. Diego Harry said 1. Open-minded skeptic said 1. Shout out to my man Tapan. Tapan said that I support black male content, and that's on my... Shout out to Tapan. I appreciate it, brother. Felicia Johnson said she was impacted. You guys are seeing where I'm going at. Men and women have been impacted. That's why you guys see so much dysfunction in these spaces. Because a lot of these people have been impacted by bad and toxic mothers. I can say I grew up in the country. My family was not a perfect family, but it has levels of dysfunction like all families, but my mom and my father never put me in the predicament where I had to scuffle or scrap as a child. I grew up in the country in an intact home in the rural South. So I didn't have to deal with what a lot of kids dealt with. Luckily, we had our issues, but I didn't have to deal with that. So my heart goes out, and I'm very empathetic to anyone that's listening that had to deal with the negative ravages of growing up in single-parent homes without the love and protection of a father. Mandela Vice said 1. Why? Everybody's saying it. Cortez Smith said 2 because my mother actually cared. Lolita Gore said 1. You guys are seeing where I'm going at. Life Coach said 1. Sweet Little Bean said even when black mothers are dysfunctional, neglectful, and endangered children, they are still celebrated. Right. Tupac, even as a crack fiend mama, you were always a black queen mama, right? And so what they tend to do, they tend to aggrandize their mother at the expense of their church. Shout out to Sweet Lulu Bean. Sweet Lulu Bean, I was in Atlanta last week. We were trying to, I would love to have seen you guys, you and your family, but unfortunately it seemed like you were busy. But anyway, thank you, dear, for tuning in. I missed you. Hope you and your family are doing well. I hope you're feeling good as well. But yeah, on my mama. And it's causing a lot of kids to be in trouble. MC Recovering Wellness said 1. Hold on for a minute. S. Smooth the God said, my father passed away in 1997. He left me $62,000 and I was 13. He said his mama spent all of it and if I asked her about it, she denied it. I had to go to the Social Security Administration to find it. Wow. I'm sorry to hear that, man. And that's why Mr. Palmer talks about the baby mama terrorists. Because they are terrorists. They don't do what's best for their children. They don't put their kids in the best predicament for love and sustainability. And as Mr. Palmer also said, guys, you got to change the law of your mind. You got to set healthy boundaries with your mothers because many of you men have been traumatized, once again, by bad mothers. And it's sad. S. Smooth the God also said one. So what you guys are seeing is that the majority of men and women, based on the small sample size, are saying that they've been impacted in a negative way by their mothers. Guys, hold on for a minute. Let me turn this fan on. Hold on, guys. Hold on. All right. We are back. All right, so you guys are seeing where I'm going there, but now we're about to get deep into the story. We're about to start cooking. We're about to get deep into the show. And once again, guys, share the stream. If you're not donated to the channel, donate to the channel, hit the like button. And guys, we're going to get deep into the stream in a minute. So let me show you guys something. I saw a couple of content creators while I was at the office doing this story, and I decided to look into it myself. But a shout out to my man Top Gun. He actually gave me one of them, but I'm going to show you guys this one for the sake of the argument. And guys, I warn you, this is graphic. So here's the story, guys. Here's the story of a McDonald's worker shot over fries, and now he is brain dead because the accused gunman is held without bail. All right, so let's get into it. A McDonald's worker who was shot in the neck over cold French fries is brain dead and on life support. Based on the latest reports, guys, this guy has actually passed away. He's passed away because his mama told him to go and handle that. And that's unfortunate because you would think a mother would not put her son in a bad predicament. And by and large, the mother actually told on her son. Michael Morgan is the guy is suspected to face upgraded homicide charges Monday in the Bed-Stuyvesant shooting, in which he allegedly blasted victim Matthew Webb shortly after an argument about French fries served to the suspect's mother. The mother put her son in that predicament. And all too often, guys, we see in the inner cities where these boys are expected to be providers and protectors of women that many times place themselves in a negative predicament where the boys had to suffer. And that's not good for boys. You guys can see here on the side, once again, it's very graphic, with the blood everywhere. Once again, they say, Your Honor, the people anticipate a homicide charge on this case, given the victim is currently on life support. Once again, the young man did pass away. He was shot in the neck. He hadn't died at the point, but now I've heard that the young man has passed away. And now this boy is going to spend the rest of his life, or this man is going to spend the rest of his life in prison because you got a mixture of testosterone and emotions. That's why I told men, boys need their fathers to ground them. But when you got boys that are full of testosterone, or men that are full of testosterone, and they've been conditioned to think like their mama, then, they'll kill you and don't think nothing of it. And they'll say, oh, my mama. And that's part of the Manhood Chronicles. That's part of the stories that many men go through because they're having to defend themselves from negative such women. The family now has to make a difficult decision to keep him on or off life support. But once again, the poor young man has died. But once again, guys, this young man was a victim of a bad mother. Because, see, American women, guys, have gotten so bad that they don't nurture their boys anymore. They don't nurture their kids anymore. They're very mean to them. They cuss them out. They're selfish. Many of them, the moms themselves, have been through the trauma of their mothers, and then they turn around and the children go through what's called vicarious trauma themselves. Morgan, who was handcuffed behind his neck, looked back during the brief proceeding. He did speak. Webb was toiling at a Fuller Street eatery on Monday when Morgan's mom, Lisa Fulmore, complained to workers that her fries was cold. So let me show you guys this Lisa Fulmore woman. But once again, her son, guys, is going to jail because, as I told you guys, a righteous woman will not put her husband or her son in a negative predicament. What a righteous woman would do, guys, she would do everything in her power to protect her children or her son, because she don't want to see her son, guys, husbands or sons' lives placed in a predicament where they can lose their lives. But some of these women are so toxic and bad, and nobody holds them accountable. Even if you say anything about it, then they'll say, oh, you're bashing, or you're very toxic. Anytime you call out bad behavior now in America, it's seen as toxic, or it's seen as bashing behavior. And that's because, guys, we live in a time where people don't love the truth anymore. The truth now is the new hate. Folks just don't love the truth. And it's unfortunate. I worked in law enforcement. I was a mental health correction officer for 2 years. I did 7 years with the Department of Juvenile Justice. And I'll tell you guys that there are men lives that have been destroyed because many times they were under the auspices of bad mothers that are not only toxic, but bad mothers that infected their sons to the point now their sons are either broken men, weak men, simp men, or these men often come off in the internet when black men begin to speak because they have been impacted by their mothers. And many times, guys, what they'll say is that, because they're simp surfers, this is what they'll say, because you guys know about the simp surfers. When you try to give them evidence and give them insight, many are simp surfers. And what they'll do, they'll come into all these male spaces and they'll do this.
These men are coming together. They must be stopped. Who hurt these petty fools? Their mama is black. Who hurt them? They must be gay. I must go cause confusion.
Now, they cause confusion because they are simp surfers. Just like the Silver Surfer, they are called simp surfers because they surf the internet on their boards, causing chaos in male spaces. These men are deaf too because they can't hear what you're trying to tell them. They don't want to hear what you're trying to tell them because they are deaf. These men, guys, are deaf as well. And you guys now begin I'm sorry, guys. You hold tight. I guess I was talking the whole time. You guys couldn't hear me. I apologize. Give me one. Hold tight. I hope you guys could hear me in the back. Wow, I didn't realize the thing had popped off. Hold on for a minute. What's going on with this thing, man? Why is it muting itself? Hold tight, guys. Let me read through some of these comments. I hope you guys, I don't know if you guys heard me or not, but I apologize if you guys couldn't hear me. This thing is acting stupid, man. If you guys didn't hear me, I apologize. Greg Scotland said that, yes, Top Gun Kendra G went on attack with, yeah, she did, right. She did, yep, she went on attack with the content creator, Don Lexi. So if you guys can hear me, please hit 1. If you guys can see me, hit 1. Shout out to my man Slick for that $1.49 super sticker. Thank you, Slick. I appreciate it. I appreciate it, sir. Cortez Smith said no sound. Okay. All right. Okay. No, everybody's saying no sound. All right. So can you guys hear me now? I apologize. I don't know what happened earlier. All right. Everybody's saying no sound. Can you guys hear me now? All right. Top Gun said no sound. Can you guys can hear me now? Please hit 1. All right. Can you guys hear me? Okay, good. Great. All right. Somebody says it's low, so I don't know. I hope it's not low, guys. I don't know what happened. If you guys can hear me, once again, loud and clear, please hit 1. All right. So, okay, everybody can hear me now. I apologize for that. All right, so let me go back to the screen, guys. Remember, sometimes when I'm back and forth, I'm not on the main screen. So, Top Gun, if you can't hear me in the future, just send me a text. Guys, send me a text if you can't hear me in the future. I apologize for that once again. But let's get back to it. We're going to get back to it. But anyway, the mother said that he was the sweetest kid. He was not like these little thugs having run around here. He was so polite. He was always chasing the girls, making jokes. Domingo Rivera, a longtime former neighbor of Holloman, told the Post on Thursday. He was a good kid. He never got into trouble. He was always dancing and joking. Yeah, this young man's life has been taken away over senseless gun violence. Rivera referred to Holloman by his nickname, Kiyobi, and said he was murdered. His mother. So listen, guys. The kid Holloman that got shot said his mother, after he was murdered, his mother got sick and his mom died. So this guy shot 2 people. He shot Webb, he shot Holloman. But the mother got sick and died. So 2 people are casualties of death. The mother could not stand or bear the pain of her son being dead. And eventually she died too because of senseless gun violence and senseless murder. They say, I'm glad I got him, Rivera said of Morgan. Holloman's sister told the Post on Thursday the arrest was bittersweet. I'm happy that justice is being served, but it's not going to bring back my brother, Gardenia Holloman said. And that's the trauma that people have to deal with many times, guys, in the city. We knew he was already a suspect. We had a witness that was there when it happened. He was already identified. The prosecutor said it wasn't enough. Morgan is charged with murder in the 2020 slate, and he's held without bond. He's due back for court on August the 8th, and that was on yesterday. And guys, you see it, senseless gun violence. People losing their lives off of senseless gun violence. And it got to the point where it was very graphic. I don't know if you guys can see it or not. Hold tight. Hold tight, guys. Let me see if I can find it for you. So once again, Michael Morgan is charged with the shooting death of Matthew Webb over some silly French fries. How many of you guys have been placed in bad predicaments because your mothers put your lives at risk because of her bad behavior? If you have been placed at risk because of your mothers, I need you guys to hit 1. Because some of you guys have never been in environments where you've had nurturing moms. You don't know what it's like to have a nurturing mother, and it's sad. It's sad that you've never had a nurturing mom of any type. And this boy was left in a puddle of blood. Here you go. So once again, guys, it's graphic. Hold tight. Hold tight, guys.
Right now at 5:30, a fast food worker is shot, and sources say it happened during an argument over French fries. Good evening, I'm Maurice Dubois.
How many men are in prison right now because of senseless violence? How many? And many will argue that it is a lot. Many will argue that's a lot. It is a lot. But I want you guys to listen to this. You're right, it is sad, Mr. G's world. It's very sad. Very, very, very sad. Yeah. Very, 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 very sad. Very sad. But I want you guys to listen to it. Hold tight. Hold tight.
Welcome back to the broadcast. I'm Christine Johnson. Police say the shooting happened outside a McDonald's in Bed-Stuy, Brooklyn.
CBS 2's Natalie Duddridge reports the victim is now in the hospital in critical condition.
Once again, this guy is now dead. This was days ago, but he is dead now. He was in critical condition at first, but he was pronounced dead recently.
Video shows a crowd form outside of a McDonald's on Fulton Street last night, moments after a 23-year-old fast food worker was shot by a customer around 7:15.
That something could happen like that over something so simple as food, like that's crazy.
Sources say a female customer was angry her fries were cold and began arguing with the employee while on a face.
Once again, guys, off of cold fries. This is how bad our world has gotten. People are losing their lives over French fries. They're losing their lives over French fries. There was another man that lost his life going in a bodega in New York over some potato chips. So you got people losing their lives over French fries, and you got people losing their lives over potato chips. Because just like Raekwon and Man said, it's on my mama. They're using their lives or losing their lives saying on my
FaceTime call with her 20-year-old son. He heard the argument and came to the McDonald's to confront the worker. The dispute escalated and moved outside. And rushed to Brookdale University Hospital in critical condition.
I'm deeply concerned. My children have come to this McDonald's over the years.
My daughter wants to work in fast food. She's 17, and I'm scared of things like that. It's horrible. You could be angry and say, hey, I didn't get my order right, but to shoot someone?
Police say the 20-year-old suspect fled but was arrested a short time later.
This is the world that we live in, guys. This is the world that you live in. This is the world that your children live in. This is the world that our kids have to grow up in, where the protective factors are very low and the risk factors are very high. This is what our kids have to grow up in. They're not safe. They're not in a place of peace, but often they're in a place of chaos. Some of you men and women that are listening on the night have grew up in homes where it was chaotic. And because of that chaos, some of you guys have been impacted in a negative way. You're right, Mr. G. World, it is very sad. Yes, very sad. And some of you guys need to be in therapy because you have not uncovered so that you can recover. Gregory Scott said, I don't find enough black women criticizing these types of females, even on the manifest panels, unlike some like Crimson Cure, Pink Book Lessons, Mashawn Denise, or of that strike. Yes, Miss Gore, it is very, very, very sad. I totally agree. Yes, very sad. Byron Hammer TV said Gregory Scott and the Kendra G came through when she made her ad hominem attacks and encouraged some women, some plain women who was with her. Kendra G looks bad when she won't reflect and say sorry. Well, that's many, sadly. Lulu Bean said, how many black mothers exposes sons and daughters to physical and sexual abuse because of the men they choose? No doubt. I totally agree, man. I agree with you 1,000%. It happens all the time, sadly. It happens all the time. And then Barry Hamilton said a significant number of incarcerated black men are where they are because of defending or intervening for the women in their lives. Yes, sir. It is sad. And guys, it happens all too often. Some are either in the grave or some are dead, guys, because they did it on their mama. And, you know, many times these boys grow up in single parent homes, guys, they end up being simps.
Why are you destroying our planet?
I have no choice.
Yeah, simp servers think they don't have any choice. They think they're supposed to be agents of chaos. They think they're supposed to go and cause harm and confusion to homes. They say, I have no choice. Because they have not been conditioned to use something called, how can I call it? Critical thinking skills or conflict resolution. But that conflict is to murder, destroy, pillage, or kill. And it's unfortunate because some of you guys have been in environments like that.
The gun has not yet been recovered. Sources say the shooter has 12 prior arrests. The McDonald's here is back open. We tried to...
And once again, this guy has had 12 prior arrests. Not one, but 12. 12 guys prior arrests. 12 prior arrests. And it makes you wonder, why is this guy still on the street? It makes you wonder, why is this guy still on the streets for doing what he's done? And it happens all too often. Happens all too often. Hold tight. All of this could have been prevented if this man valued this man's life over some stupid French fries. It really is not that serious to take a person's life over French fries. French fries, guys, nothing else. Like Alan Iverson said, we talking about practice. Guys, we talking about French fries. We're talking about French fries. I want to show you guys something. And once again, guys, this is very graphic. Hold tight. Let me finish. Hold tight, guys. Let me exit this out, and then I'm going to show you guys this distress and con stuff, and it's very valid. So hold tight.
To speak to some of the staff, they're not allowed to tell us much, but they do say that that victim is a good guy, a good kid. This man works next door at another fast food spot. He says he's thankful his boss recently installed a glass barrier, but say staff are still concerned.
That's why I don't want to work at night. I told my boss, if you want to pay me like $100 per hour, I'm not going to work, because it's crazy.
And that's what's happened there, guys. We live in a world where violence is the new norm. We live in a world where girls and boys don't feel protected. Because sadly, these bad moms get with these sorry men, and these boys end up committing or being agents of chaos. The girls growing up being rebellious, promiscuous, sometimes having children out of wedlock, or not feeling loved and protected, or feeling insecure because of these bad environments. Keep listening.
Employees at the McDonald's say they do have security, but say security's hours may have recently been scaled back. In Bed-Stuy, Brooklyn, Natalie Duddridge, CBS 2.
And see, guys, once again, when you have a strong father, a lot of these women talking about they're strong and independent are beginning to see that being by themselves is very dangerous in this crazy world. Imagine if you were home with your husband handling business versus trying to do it all by yourself. So as we said earlier, we talk about protective factors and we talk about risk factors. Children being born in single parent homes are more at risk of negative factors. Kids born in two-parent intact homes are more at risk of having protective factors and thriving. It's not a guarantee, but the likelihood is greater. But once again, this young man is going to lose his life.
And police say there does not appear to be any previous connection between the employee and the suspect.
Over, guys.
The mother will not face any charges.
French fries.
Right now.
And that's what happens many times. The mother gets off scot-free, but sadly, this young man loses his life. And it happens all too often when these violent and bad women participate in bad behavior. The women don't get held accountable for. Nothing happens to them. And it's unfortunate. Now, I want to show you guys something, and I'll warn you guys. This is very, very graphic, okay? This is very graphic. So, I need you guys to hold tight, and I'm going to show it to you in a minute. But in the meantime, guys, hit the like button. If you have not donated to the channel, donate to the channel. If we don't have any money to share, just share the content. I need 5 people to share this content to help the channel continue to grow. And also, guys, please feed the robot. Let me read you some of the comments in a minute. And Byron Hammond's TV said, it is disturbing to know how someone's deleted over a pack of French fries. Shaking my head, right. You're 1,000% correct. I don't, Miss Lolita Gore said, I don't blame dude. I won't feel safe either. Right. You're right. I agree with you 100%. I won't feel safe either. And it's unfortunate. So, guys, I warn you, this is very graphic. So I need you guys to buckle up. But in the meantime, guys, hit the like button, share the content. When I get 5 people to share the content, I will share with you guys what I want to show you. But in the meantime, I need 5 people to hit the like button, not hit the like button, but share the content. So in the meantime, guys, I need you guys to do this. And I'm going to show you guys what I want to show you. So hold tight. Hit that like button. Go ahead. Do it now before I reach out into that screen and twist your hand like Aunt Esther. Hit the like button. Thank you. Destroy. Yeah, guys, destroy that like button. So, guys, when you do it, I need everybody to hit 5. Once you get it, guys, I need 5 people to hit 5s because I want to show you guys what I'm looking at. So when you guys hit 5, let me know I'm ready. When 5 people share this stream, I need you guys to hit 5. Okay? I need 5 people to share the stream so I can show you what I want to show you guys. Because you guys are going to be shocked by this very graphic disturbance because it's unfortunate. It's very unfortunate that children, boys and girls, have to grow up in environments where they're not loved or protected. It's very sad. Very, very, very sad. So, guys, once you share the stream, hit 5 for me, please. Hit 5, please. Once you got it, I need 5 people to share the stream. Shout out to my man, Sir Hill Speak, for that $5 super sticker, no doubt. Shout out to King, Sir Hill Speaks. Thank you, brother. Much love and blessing to him. S Smooth the guy, he said, that's what I got 1. I need 4 more. I need 4 people to share this stream. And once you share it, I need you guys to hit 5 because I want to show you something. It's very disturbing. It's very disturbing. So, guys, please, I need 4 more people to share the stream real quick. And then I'm going to show you guys what I need to show you, okay? Please do that fast. I'm waiting. I'm waiting. I'm waiting. Barry Hammond said, we have witnessed, what we witness is these guys' lack of reasoning and diplomacy. They're overly emotional and shoot from the hip. Yes, sir, literally. Yes. Back in the day, we would take it. Take it from the instead of taking it from the hip with our fists. Now these guys are taking it with the clip. They don't think about it. They don't care. They will take your life in a heartbeat. And they don't think nothing of it, guys, sadly. They don't think anything of it. So, guys, I got one. Ask God to smooth. He did it for me. I need 4 more people. And I'm going to show you guys what I'm going to show you. So, hold tight. All right, guys. So, once again, this is very graphic. Very graphic. All right, guys. As you guys can see partially, this is very graphic. Once again, it's very graphic. This poor young man, you can see him laying down on the streets with blood leaking out of his neck. And this is real. All because, guys, he didn't do it for his dad because his dad didn't teach him how to think like a man, guys. He didn't do it for his community or his family. But sadly, this young man killed this young man and shot him in his neck. He did it for his mom.
Oh, yeah. Put chain on them. Balls on my mom. That be broken balls. Kill some of my mom. Bro, they back. He look like that's on my monkey. That's on my monkey. That's on my monkey.
Yeah, that's the Raekwons and the Man of the world. They will challenge you guys and will to take your life because they don't have diplomacy skills. They will challenge you and take your life because they don't have diplomacy skills. They don't know how to control their emotions. I saw it happen, as I said earlier, many times. These men would take your life over something stupid. This young 23-year-old man would never get to have children. He'll never get to see or experience the world, all because of some damn French fries. And it's unfortunate. But see, guys, this is what happens when we don't self-introspect or don't understand the importance of order. This young man could have been alive today, and also the woman, Lisa Fulmore, sadly, if she had got with a better man, perhaps her son wouldn't have been the victim of anger. Many of these young men, guys, that killing folks are angry. Their development is arrested. Many of them are very angry because they don't have balance, they don't have structure, they don't have order, they don't have fathers. Many, their psychosocial stage of development has been arrested. They're going to what's called an identity crisis. They can be 25 to 30 years old, but they still can have arrested development where their psychosocial stage of development has been stunted greatly. All because of pain and hurt from the past. And it's sad. Thank you, Gregory Scott, and I appreciate it. I need 3 more. I need 3 more to share. Sweet Lulu Bean said that recently a woman called her 2 brothers to beat up her baby dad and got both of them shot. Right, that was in Detroit. One brother died at the scene and the other's in critical condition at the hospital. Yes, ma'am, right. You're 1,000% correct. You're 1,000% correct. Yes, it was in Chicago. I mean, not in Chicago, in Detroit. So you guys are right. But once again, these men are angry because they don't know or have an identity. They don't have an identity. They don't know who they are. They don't understand who they are. They don't have an identity. And these young men, guys, are very angry. They're very angry. And guys, this is what happens when boys' development is arrested. Keep listening. Once again, this poor boy was shot in the neck. You can see the poor young man, blood leaking out of his neck. And that's why I keep telling you guys, when people talk community, where's the community when these young boys are being killed senseless? Where's the outrage and the outcry of these young boys being destroyed by their own? And even though ethnic conflict or ethnic violence is universal, white people kill white people, black people kill black people, Indians kill Indians. Because our struggles are unique in America, there should be an outcry, a more louder outcry. But once again, this young man is now going to see God because his life was taken over a senseless murder, cold French fries, stupid stuff. The self-hatred, in my opinion, is real. Some of this, guys, in my opinion, is the ruminations of post-traumatic slavery disorder. I believe that's some of it. The hatred for oneself. And even though some of your conservatives will say, well, black people kill each other, well, all people kill each other. All the major wars that were impacted in America was white on white violence. Indians were complicit in killing Indians, and blacks killed blacks because that's in their circle or their pool. But it seems to be even more ruthless many times with us because of the pain that we're going through and because our images have been more or less diminished. Senseless violence and killing other men is a byproduct of anger, brokenness, and lack of identity. That's why we talked about earlier, as I've given you guys the foundational framework, protective factors, risk factors. They all play a role in the evolution of a boy and a girl. But you see this poor boy leaking out now, and he was in critical condition. Now he's dead. How many of you guys grew up in environments where you saw this? How many grew up in environments where you guys actually saw this senseless types of violence? Right. You're right, Jeremiah. Right. It's sad, man. Right. Thank you, Sir Hill. Speaks. I appreciate it, brother. Thank you, Sir Hill. Thank you, sir. Appreciate it. But how many of you guys have grown up in environments where y'all saw this? You have seen this senseless type of violence. How many guys have grown up in communities like that? To the point now that you guys have been traumatically impacted. It's unfortunate, and it's really sad. Top Gun said he have, right? It's unfortunate and it's sad, guys. This boy is going to meet his creator because of senseless gun violence. Wow. And you guys see it, a puddle of blood. A puddle of blood. You guys see it. Where was the national outcry? Why did McDonald's close and hold a memorial for this young man's life? It won't happen, guys, because we don't value the lives of black men. Black men senselessly kill one another because, once again, they don't have an identity. They have a lot of anger and hatred within themselves. That's why so many join gangs, because they're trying to find themselves. A woman cannot teach a man how to be a man because manhood is a series of hills and valleys, victories and failures. But once again, when they commit these senseless acts of violence, guys, they don't be thinking about their dads. They don't think about their communities or their families, guys. But sadly, guys, many times, sadly, and I mean sadly, and you guys have seen it all too often, they're thinking about their mom.
Put chain on the balls on my mom. That be broken mom. Kill some of my mom, bro. They back me look like gang. That's on my monkey. Gang. That's on my monkey. Gang. That's on my monkey.
And you know, guys, it's so sad because we glorify violence in America. We glorify rap culture. We glorify all forms of violence. We glorify it. You know, I came out of high school back in 1990 where the world was more stable. But we glorify violence in America. We glorify violence in the inner city. Gangster rap proliferated in the mid-90s. And now it appears that many of these children are the spawns and the grandchildren of those women that aggrandized that type of crazy behavior. And it's sad. It's very sad. And as I warn you guys, it's very graphic. I warn you guys, it is graphic. Another young black man's life that has been taken over a senseless act of violence, over a bad mother, a toxic mother that did not protect her son, because see, a nurturing mom, guys, will protect her son and her husband. Just like Jada Pinkett Smith, she didn't protect Will Smith's ego. She didn't protect his well-being. But because she was a narcissistic, selfish mother, a wife, And this woman was a narcissistic, selfish mom as well. Now her son's life is taken. Like Mr. Palmer said, you have to change the law in your mind when it comes down to dealing with these modern, toxic, and bad women. You got to be just like water, because if you don't be like water, you're going to either be caught up in the child support system, you're going to lose your livelihood, and you're going to lose your sense of mind and all your peace. Men, are you ready and willing to be like water?
That's ISO? Rack it up, I got a bit of the bank to make me a safe house. Shake it up, she got her hands on her knees.
Yeah, you got to be like water, guys. You got to be like water. You got to be malleable and liquid like water when it's necessary, but then you got to be like a force, meaning you got to be able to defend your position when it comes down to dealing with some of these modern women and also dealing with these hyenas. And it's getting worse, guys. Atlanta now has become a hotbed. I was in Atlanta over the weekend. Luckily, nothing happened to me and my homeboy Peaceful Life. We was at the Lenox Mall, and but there's been a lot of shootings in Atlanta because we tend to aggrandize bad behavior. We tend to aggrandize hood and thug culture. We tend to aggrandize violence, and it's very unfortunate. Shout out to my man Gregory Scotland. Thank you, Gregory. I really appreciate it for showing so love and support. He said this type of behavior contributes to people such as Sage Lee, Edward Anderson, High Value Wise, calling for developing a new black community to leave these types out. Yes, I totally agree, and I hope it happens. But I just don't see it in our lifetime, Gregory Scotland. But in the meantime, Gregory Scotland, because of your meritorious love offering, and it was meritorious, Gregory Scotland, thank you, sir, for your kindness. You are the number one, Gregory Scotland, and you are the new sponsor of this stream. Senseless gun violence. Thank you, Gregory Scotland, for your kind love offering. I appreciate it, brother. But once again, senseless lives being destroyed. And you guys are seeing it close up. This young man lost his life. Now, the next story of a toxic and a bad mother is this. I'm about to show you guys. This is the next story. Shout out to my man Top Gun for this story. I appreciate it. Guys, if you have stories you want me to talk about, do shows on, let me know in advance. And I can plan it, and I can do the shows for you guys. So hold tight. Let me show you guys some. Shout out to Top Gun once again for getting this story out to me. And I want to show you guys something else. But once again, I was in Atlanta over the week with my man Peaceful Life. And thank God, when they had the shooting out at the Lenox Mall, nothing happened. I wasn't there when it happened, but wow. Because I didn't have my heat on me, because I can't take a gun on the plane. But guys, nowadays, you got to make sure you have heat on you, because these spawns, when they take your life, and they won't think nothing of it. These women, guys, are out of control. They are out of control. But I want to show you guys the next story, and this is proving my point once again. Because, once again, these young boys are raised in environments where they're not protected. So, this is a scam. And we're going to go to the top and read it. So, this was in Douglasville, Georgia, guys. This was in Douglasville, Georgia. Shout out to Top Gun once again for this story. Thank you, brother. Because we got to look at things not only through urban trends, but we got to look at what's called the psychopathologies that are causing people to do the things that they're doing. So, in a mother-son, multi-state fraud scam, including identity theft and stolen vehicle, a felon from Georgia was sentenced. Now, listen, this woman, guys, her name is Shamara Stevens from Douglasville, Georgia, was supposed to be leading her son in the right direction. But instead of leading her son in the right direction, she led her son in a very negative direction. Remember, A mother is supposed to nurture her son. A mother is supposed to nurture her husband. A mother protects her husband, her son, by nurturing them, not by putting them in predicaments where they can lose their lives or their livelihoods or their sense of well-being and their mental peace. So let's read the story, guys. You guys see her name is Shamara Stevens. Mr. Palmer will call her a baby mama terrorist. Shout out to him once again, because I don't steal people concepts like some of these cats do and not give folks credit. If I use a concept like mentally transmitted diseases or baby mama terrorists, I'm going to always give them an alley-oop or assist, because that's what Dean Smith would do. Dean Smith will always point up a finger and show an assist, because that's part of being kosher. You don't get other content creators' ideas and try to market as your own, because that lets me know that you're not genuine and that you don't have creativity to come up with ideas on your own. So shout out to Mr. Palmer once again. But a federal judge in South Carolina found Kwani Shamara Stevens of Douglasville, Georgia, guilty of conspiring to commit bank fraud and wire fraud, identity theft, aggravated identity theft, access to device fraud, interstate transportation of a stolen vehicle and a felon, and possession of a firearm and ammunition. The woman is supposed to be nurturing her son, guys. She's causing chaos. Stevens tried to use a sovereign citizenship during her trial, but the court rejected her arguments. Stevens was accused of abandoning a stolen U-Haul nearly a half a dozen states away from where she was supposed to be returned by the end of August of 2021. Stevens was already prohibited from possessing a gun and ammunition because of 4 state felony convictions for fraud-related offenses, and was on probation for 2 of those offenses. And guys, is it safe to say that many of these women are becoming very masculine? Is it safe to say that many of these women, guys, are becoming very, very masculine? Because once again, feminine women protect their children, but masculine women don't. Feminine women, guys, once again, protect their children, but masculine women don't. So how can a person feel safe? How can boys feel safe? How can our girls feel safe when they're dealing with toxic and bad mothers? Prosecutors said, claimed that after making the decision, the mother chose to send her son, DeAndre Copps, 23, also of Douglasville, on a multi-state adventure to Florida. The guy named DeAndre Coops. According to the U.S. Attorney Office for the District of South Carolina, Stevens traveled from down the East Coast in a second stolen U-Haul while carrying a loaded semi-automatic weapon in her waistband, along with tools required to steal more identities, create phony credit cards, print fake checks, hold tight, as well as a dozen of fraudulent obtained identities. You guys are seeing what I'm saying? What I'm seeing. The woman that's supposed to be protecting her son, guys, Shamara Stevens, was not protecting her son. The woman that's supposed to be nurturing her son, ego, and keeping him safe, was not. As you have seen, guys, these women are becoming very masculine. Some of them even look just like men. They're becoming very masculine. And some of them look just like men. Many of them look just like men. And it's unfortunate. Because once again, some of these boys are the byproducts of these spawns. They're the byproducts of it, guys. So, hold tight. So, if you, as you guys can see, this baby mama Terry, shout out to Mr. Palmer again, when she stopped near a bank, the Atlanta Police Department, a tiny town in South Carolina, eventually apprehended the suspect. So look at her, guys. Look how strong and masculine she looked. She looked like a dude. She looked like, can't think of the guy's name. What's the rapper name? Can't think of that rapper's name. But God, she looked just like that rapper. Can't think of his name. Waka Flocka. She looked like Waka Flocka Flame. Don't she like Waka Flocka? She looked just like Waka Flocka, man. What mother in her right mind could put her son in a predicament where he could lose his livelihood or lose his life? Who does that and put their children in bad predicament? But we wonder why some of these men are so angry. We wonder why some of these men are so bitter. We wonder why, because they were put in predicaments where they couldn't be boys and men, but they had to be fathers, husbands, and also bodyguards. And this woman, Teresa Lay is laughing. That's funny. Shout out to thanks on T Leeds too. Thank you, brother. But she looked just like Waka Flocka Flame, guys. Look just like Waka Flocka. And it's unfortunate. It's unfortunate. It says that more than a half of identification documents, many of which bore Stevens' image, were issued in different names, as well as more than 25 debit cards, the majority of which were issued in the name of people other than Stevens, were found during the search of the van, according to prosecution. The Secret Service examination to Stevens' activity discovered that he regularly downloaded from the dark web training materials on identity theft and credit card fraud, as well as malware for attaining personal identifiable information. Now, this woman, guys, was given 18 years in prison. She was given 18 years in prison. I'm going to show you guys at some point. Hold tight. But Shamara Stevens was given 18 years in prison for this multi-state fraud scam. I'm about to show you guys in a minute. I don't know if this guy's just going to be an issue, but hold tight. I'm going to show you guys in a minute. And once again, guys, good mothers don't put their boys in harm's way. Good mothers don't cause their children ill will. So eventually the laptop had documents and data could be used to build phony baking websites. Stevens, her son, was given 224 months in federal prison by U.S. Judge, that's Shamara Stevens, was given 18 years in prison by U.S. District Judge Sherry A. Linden, followed by a 5-year period of court mandate monitoring. 18 years of your life over something foolish. In the federal system, parole does not exist. The woman Stevens also mandated to compensate her victims. And here's her son, guys. Here's the son. The boy that she was supposed to protect, she put that young man in a very negative predicament. All because she was selfish, probably had narcissistic traits, and did not care about the well-being of her son. She only cared about the well-being of herself and her temporary pleasure. After pleading guilty to conspiracy to commit wire fraud and bank fraud, her son, who testified during Stevens' trial, was already given time served. Stevens was serviced for enhancements for her leadership in the criminal organization and for obstructing justice. The court also heard evidence that Stevens fraudulently applied for and was granted many Paycheck Protection Program loans in other people's names. So you guys see it. The woman that was made to more or less protect her child, guys, put her child in a negative predicament. And it's sad. And once again, shout out to Top Gun for that article. But it's sad, guys. And I want to ask you guys a question. How many of you men have been put in predicaments by your mom? I want you guys to put some scenarios where you were put in negative predicaments by your mother to commit civil malfeasance. Because it happens all too often. So I want to show you guys, this happened this updated 15 hours ago. So let's look at it, guys. Hold tight. So this story is right on point. And we're going to talk about, once again, what was found. We're going to talk about, once again, what was found, guys. Hold tight. All right. Hold on. All right, so this is called The Hill. I don't know why it's not opening it up. Okay, here we go. guys. Fair use. Hopefully, hopefully I don't get a copyright strike for this, but fair use.
Truck used to be so gay. Your truck used to be so gay. Are you excited?
I am.
Are you excited? What are you doing? Getting tires and wheels on there?
Yeah.
Dang, she's gonna be looking good.
Maybe
tires. We went to Tucker Tire in South Orange County. So if you're around the area, if you're somewhere in SoCal and can make it down here, man, I highly recommend.
What happened? Long story. Maybe there's something else then, guys. I don't know why they took me here for, but you guys get my drift. You get my drift. It was a mother and son identity scam issue. And you guys get my drift. But it's unfortunate nonetheless. It's unfortunate nonetheless, guys. And once again, guys, it happens all too often that many young men and boys and girls are placed in predicaments by a bad mom. And many times guys think that it's only the mothers, the boys that go through it, but many of our girls go through it too. They've been in predicaments where they've had bad, toxic moms. And it's caused a lasting impact on their psyche and their psychosocial stages of development as well. But as I said earlier, many do it for their mama. They do it for their mama. They do it for the love of their mamas. And sadly, guys, the people that do it for the love of their mamas end up either dead or incarcerated. So the question remains as this: how many have been impacted by toxic, negative women like this? How many? Because you can't have a better union if you're in a situation where you've been asked to defend bad behavior. How many? How many have been in negative predicaments like this? And thank you again, Top Gun, for that article. I appreciate it. I asked the question: have you been damaged by a bad mom? More than 50% said yes. Out of 75 votes, more than 50% of the people said yes. Guys, do me a favor. You guys are doing an awesome job. Let's get the stream up to 100 likes, please. I appreciate it. I appreciate it, guys. But how's that type of behavior impacting you guys in a negative way? How has it impacted you, or how does it continue to impact you guys in a very negative way? Because some of you guys are now struggling because of what happened. Actually, here's another article. Hold tight, guys. Hold tight. I think this is more profound. Hold tight. I don't know if there's a video associated with it. Look, it was a video. But I think you guys get the drift if the video ever comes up. But you guys get the drift. So let's have a conversation, guys. The ones that were hold tight. The ones that have been impacted by such negative behaviors. So let's see what you got. Identity crisis, post-traumatic stress, yes. Identity crisis, yes. All of that. So guys, I'm going to drop the link. I want to hear some of you guys' comments, man. I want to hear from the men and the women that have been impacted by toxic moms. And are you still struggling because you've been impacted by a toxic and a very negative mom? I want to hear from some of you guys. I want to hear from some of you guys. Also, I want to hear from you guys what you guys think about what happened with the scenario recently about the young man that was killed in the McDonald's massacre. I want to hear from you guys. So the link has been dropped. Let's have a conversation. The link has been dropped, guys. Let's have a conversation. Let's have a conversation, guys. Because all this stuff matters. It matters a lot. So let's have a conversation. Link is dropped. Then you want to come in and have a conversation about what happened. If you've been a victim of what's happened, are you still struggling by what has happened? And how it's impacting you guys in a negative way? Because until we look at the struggles that we've had as boys and girls, men and women, we will never heal 100%. Until we look at ourselves and what we've been through as a collective, we will never heal. So how stories like this, guys, impacting you? The link has been dropped. Someone, men or women want to come up and talk about it. Let's talk about it. Because toxic moms need to be held accountable. Your story needs to be heard. And we're not saying you're coming out here to run your mom down per se, but if you just want to talk about how some of the behaviors impact you in a negative way, feel free to come up and say something. Because your life matters, your worth matters, your self-esteem matters. And if you're not given the opportunity to share your story without feeling ridiculed, then that's going to be half of the problem. Actually, let me see. Hold tight, guys. I think I actually got it. Hold tight. Maybe I can find it. Hold tight. So, who want to come up and have a conversation, guys? Anybody want to talk about it? Anybody want to talk about any of their struggles that they've been through concerning bad moms? Do you guys want to talk about it? Or you feel like it's too personal, you don't want to talk about it? If that's the case, then that's okay. But all too often, guys, this kind of stuff happens. Many have not gone to get the proper help that they need. Many just suffer in silence. Many continue to have what's called generational trauma. And the list goes on and on and on. JJ Diesel Cowboy, how you doing, sir? What's going on? I'll meet you, sir, brother.
Hey, how's it going? Can you hear me?
Yes, sir, I can hear you. How you doing, sir?
Oh, hold on. I've got my pictures on.
Okay, now I'm here.
Yes, sir. Go ahead. How would you like to answer the conversation?
I love my mother very dearly, but my mother is somebody that I cannot get too close to because she'll bite you like a black widow. She's demon possessed. She's verbally abused me since I was a child at a particular age after my father. She did divorce my father back in the 80s. I was in my preteens, and I had siblings that I had to deal with too. And also, we all had different fathers too. My father was the only one she married to, and my siblings were jealous of me. My brother's dead and gone now. I miss him. She destroyed him. She turned him into well, I don't even want to talk about that, but it's something dishonorable for him to be. And he caught a STD and died from it, along with the COVID shot. I believe that I said that too quick. Not supposed to say that, but yeah, that too. I Can you still hear me?
Yes, sir, I can hear you. I'm listening.
Okay. My mother has verbally abused me, physically abused me since I've been an adult, because I've been rebuking her, standing up against her, rebelling against the stuff she said to me. Even since I've been here at this apartment where I live at since 2011. And she had a 2006 Chrysler 300. God don't like ugly. She had to get rid of that car because it started knocking. See, she was here one night in 2012, and I'm gonna tell you about this in another situation. Then I'm gonna get off of here. I had a female company here that night. My mama was all out of order. I was ready to go to bed. My female company was in my bed asleep. She loud. It was about 2, 3 in the morning. She need to go home and all that stuff. I had to make her go outside, physically make her go outside. Not brutally brute force, but general force to get her outside, make her go down to her car. Next thing I know, she was charging me with her car. I had to jump up in the air and lay flat on the hood to keep her from breaking my legs or something.
Right, right.
And I thought about something I told her, and I'm gonna quote it. I said, the next time you try that, I'm gonna rip that car from under you and leave your ass sitting on the ground.
Mm.
You know what I did? I was trying to make good on that. She wasn't gonna make a liar out of me. I was gonna make some kind of a indentation on that. I was so angry and I was hurt so bad. I was so angry with that. I opened my left hand and hit that windshield so hard I shattered it. I did not have not one mark on my hand.
Mm-hmm.
Righteous rage. Y'all ever heard of righteous rage?
Mm-hmm. Righteous indignation.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's what I felt at the moment.
Why do you think JJD's a cowboy that many times boys and girls that have been through toxic and abusive moms, many times they tend to minimize the pain of the children, but they tend to protect the mothers. Why do you think that is, in your opinion?
Because the mother is doing the work that they want them to do.
What do you mean by that?
They sold out to the devil and they doing the devil's bidding. That's why they protect it.
Okay, all right. Have your mother being not nurturing to you, do you think it's impacting your relationship with other women to some degree? Because you never had a nurturing mom, do you think that's played a role in how you see other women or how you respond to some women?
No, I separated that. I separated the different levels of love. Agape love is the highest love, and you got different levels below that. I separated that. So no, my mother. These women out here didn't have anything to do with how my mother treated me. That's the way I see that. But on the other hand, they show the same patterns when I think back and look over this stuff. So I have disdain, disgust, distrust for them.
Do you trust with them? When you say them, what you mean? Modern women? What do you mean by that?
Yeah, in general. Not all, but in general.
In general, right.
I have contempt for people who hate correction,
right,
who hate the truth, who hate good people speaking up and defending themselves. I don't trust them. I don't have any good words to say for them. God don't either, for that matter.
When you see these stories, man, traversing across the great kaleidoscope of America, what thoughts come in your mind, man, when you see all this stuff?
Horror, just more of the same, disdain. I pray for people. I don't know. It's just more of the same thing I've been saying all this time. These are proof these are the last days. Me and my mother was close at one point, but the more time got, the more evil she got, it seemed. I've been watching patterns in the society, and it's really been getting nasty over the last 20, 25 years.
What are some of the things you've seen get bad, in your opinion? What's some of the things you've seen get worse?
How the mothers handle their children when they small toddlers, how they pick them up by their arm, rip their arm out of socket. And I was scared to say something because I would be arrested or something. That's one example I can give.
Right.
Playing rap music around them and raising them up to be, raise them up to be like they were when they was a child, or when they get grown, they're gonna turn into a heathen when they get grown. The devil's propaganda reach generations. I was gonna tell you about this.
Go ahead.
Let me tell you about this one situation I got into. It was a guy harassing me one night. Me and a friend of mine, he's dead and gone too. His name is Jerry White. This guy we were mutually acquainted with. He'll knock my hat off my head. I grabbed my hat, put it back on my head. He had an American Idol cap on his head. I looked at him. You know how you size something up like you taking measurements? That's how I looked at him, and I backhand him from his chin up with my left hand and knocked his cap down to my left side.
Mhm.
And I took it and threw it over in my mama's side of the street in the grass. And I said, "You the better man, go get it." He looked at the captain, walked up the street, and walked back toward his house. Okay, me and my friend, we went over to my cousin's house, play cards and all this stuff, and have a few drinks. Okay, it got late. We started heading back to my mom's house so she could take me home. I didn't have a vehicle at the time. I got one now. Now I work on it myself. That's besides the point. Let me get back on the subject. I on my way home, on my way to my mom's house, yeah, that same joker gonna come at me. He gonna throw two blows. I block one, uh, duck the other one. I hit him square in the chin and sent him. People don't believe me, but I sent him a good 25 feet one punch. I was so angry. I've been through a lot that week.
Mhm.
And then I remember laughing at him. He come out. He got something for me. I said, "What you gonna do now? What you gonna do now?" He kept saying, "I got something for you." He gonna go to his house, get a little steak knife. I said, "You call it a knife?" I had a knife in my pocket with a clip on it. I always carried it in my right pocket. I opened that knife up with my teeth, and he gonna tackle me and knock me to the ground. But I was punching both of his ribs with both my hands. And when we landed on the ground, I put my right elbow on the back of his head and put all my weight on the back of his head. And I finally let up. I don't remember what happened between that time and the point that I'm finally at my mother's house so she can take me home.
Mhm.
But my so-called friend and my mother gonna hold me to the couch in the living room. I had my jacket on. It's hot in there. She got a steam room in her living room. But they finally let me up. She said that she would call the police on me if I said anything to him. I said, if he say something to me, I'm gonna say something to him. And why would she call the police on me? Because I'd already done tackled him and took him, humbled him real good. Okay, that wasn't enough for him. I guess he gonna try to talk to me. And Hooper, same guy that she had to bring over here to help me move some stuff around the shampoo my carpet. I had to remind him that day. But that night, she called the police on me. I goes to jail. Talk about
Mm.
betrayal.
Mm.
Those are just
Yeah, go ahead.
those are just two things I can say of a long list of stuff.
Right, right, right. Shout out to my dear friend Shala Kimmy Muffet. She got that Aries swag. That's my little fire sign sister. I love that sister. I wish I could have saw some of the people. I was in ATL last week. Some of my ATL friends are actually in ATL. I was with my man Peaceful Life. I wish I could have saw some of you guys. I was in Atlanta at the conference, but yeah, it is sad. Shala Kimmy, it's very sad. Have you been to therapy, JJ Diesel, for all of this stress that you've been through? Have you been to therapy for it?
No, I just pray about things and I heal from it over time. And I gain strength from reading the Bible and having faith in God. I don't go trust the secular division as far as mental health and all that stuff. And these government ordained pastors, they're not of God. Nope, they're far from God. Like what's his name, Creflo Dollar and all these others.
Right.
They trash talked brother Kevin Samuels and all that stuff when he passed away, but they didn't talk noise when he was living because they cowards.
Right, right. Right, yeah, yeah. It's unfortunate, man. It's very unfortunate. You grew up in Arkansas, correct?
Yes, sir. Still live here.
What's some of the struggles you saw for children growing up in Arkansas when you were coming up?
Being different, which I like being different. I've always been to myself, peace, love, and law abiding person, believing in God. And, uh, you know, but other than that, the stuff I mentioned, those are things I can think to say right now about that.
What do you think about the stories that you saw? What do you think about the stories that you saw?
Angers me, disheartens me,
Mhm.
makes me think about what's that? Matthew 24:12. Yeah, that's part of the great falling away too.
Interesting, interesting, interesting. Well, listen, anybody else want to come up, join the conversation with me and JJ Diesel Cowboy, because bad moms are causing chaos in the world and haven't impacted you. If it have impacted you guys, the link has been dropped. You guys want to come up, men or women, come and join me and JJ Diesel in this conversation because we need to be healed. I know a lot of men have consternation for secular therapists because they feel like they're woke therapists and they won't hear you and hear your position, but I'm not like that. I grew up in went to a very liberal school, but I strive to understand where men are coming from a traditional perspective. So anybody else want to come up and join the conversation, feel free to do so. If not, I'm going to sign off in a few minutes. JJ Diesel, anything else you want to share, brother, before I sign off?
I just want to say thank you for the opportunity to speak, and I appreciate you. I believe you do care. You're one of the few.
Oh, yeah, I do care.
One more thing. Does anybody know what it means to be born with a veil over their head? There's a medical term for that.
It's
Y'all
called
need to
what?
look this up. Being born with a veil over your head.
Oh, yeah, I heard of that before. Yeah, I've heard of it.
I got the spirit.
Hold up, JJ, for a minute. Let me tell him to get the lights. Hold on for a minute, brother. Hold on. Shout out to my man MC Recovering Wellness for that $5 super sticker. Thank you, MC Recovering Wellness. I appreciate it, brother. Anyone else want to come up and join the conversation? This is about 49 minutes after the hour of 10 o'clock in the greatest state in the Union, the Tar Heel State. And guys, once again, I bring these stories to add clarity to the struggles that men and women are having, but primarily men, because this channel is dedicated to men, for men, by men, as mental health many times is undiagnosed. And many times the struggles of our men are met on deaf ears. And so that's why I do these shows and these commentaries to add balance and clarity in these timely, and I mean very timely, discussions. So the link has been dropped. It doesn't appear anybody else want to come up. So JJ, I'm about to sign off. Guys, I really appreciate it. I just wanted the guys to know and have a conversation about something that we see all too often in society. And, just like Yellow Beezy said, and he's right, many guys are losing hope. Okay, we got one more MC Recovery. Okay. How you doing, brother? Meet yourself. Oh, there you go. Go ahead, MC Recovery. Go ahead, brother. Okay, Lulu Bean. Okay, there you go. All right, go ahead. How you guys doing? Y'all coming in late. Come on in. Come on in, Lulu Bean. Good to hear from you, sweet. And MC Recovery, how would you like to add to the conversation, man, about the brokenness that you've seen from so many children, but especially black boys and girls by bad moms? What would you like to say about it? Unmute yourself, please. Unmute yourself, MC Recovery. Unmute yourself. All right, I'll let Lulu Bean go. Go ahead, Lulu. How you doing, young lady?
Hi, I'm so sorry I missed you. But we'll talk. I haven't been well,
Okay,
that.
yes, ma'am. I do. Yes, ma'am.
So I'm getting there. Coach,
Okay.
this is it's a sensitive topic.
Yes, ma'am.
It's a painful topic, but it is one that I've been funny enough hoping that will come up. And I was saying in the comments that this is why we need the manosphere, is because the narrative or society's narrative has always been that the black man is the boogeyman.
Right.
And we as black women have added, as I said, to exploiting and hurting the black man's image. And it's nothing. Whenever a black man dies, it's reduced. No one is thinking of the role that mother played.
Right.
All they're seeing is, they call it black on black violence.
Right.
And then it'll be reduced to black men killing other black men.
Right.
And it's funny, when it's women, we will discuss everything that led up to a situation, and it'll always be a man's fault. But when a crime is committed by a black man, it's never society. It's never coming from a single home. It's never discussing the lack. It's never discussing the damage that's being done to black people because the station of the black man has been removed. This is what we're experiencing, and I'm not taking away from the first gentleman in terms of spirituality. I believe in spirituality, but part of that spirituality is having taken the black man from his spiritual seat at the head of the family.
Yes.
And the black man is supposed to be the Godhead.
Yes.
And he was removed.
Yes.
Financially, welfare,
yes, ma'am.
all of that, and that needs to be spoken. The reason that we're experiencing what we're experiencing is that woman didn't have a man to put her in her place. And yes, I said put her in her place, because that's what men do. Men teach us responsibility. Men solve problems. Men protect us. And a lot of men have died or have been put in situations because they were protecting women, or because they perceived themselves to be protecting women. So I hear JJ when he says it's the end of days. Like I said, spiritually, I think it's because the black man has been removed from his position as a man.
Right.
And a lot of people don't understand that a man is not just having, being a man in gender. It's thinking like a man. A man has been emasculated, removed from the house.
Yes, ma'am, I agree.
So the role of a man, and that's why they have to keep damaging our boys. And that's why they have to have our boys raised by dysfunctional women. Because then this is the outcome. Then you get, I don't know if it's JJ, because JJ is a result of a woman, and that's what we don't want to say. The black condition is where it is. A lot of it because of black women. But we're not allowed to say that, because at the end of the day, we always have to go back and blame a man. But it's who prevents men from seeing their children.
Right.
Who keeps having babies just so that they can get a check? We don't discuss that enough.
Talk on it, sister. Talk on it. Wait. They don't talk on it because we live in a gynocratic culture, and you're from South Africa, and that in your culture, promiscuity, having a bunch of kids out of wedlock, is not normal. So when people say, well, these men are getting these women pregnant, you can't get pregnant if you have moral standards and values. If a woman's been taught to value herself, even though men are complicit to a degree, the greater onus is on the woman, because women are the gatekeepers to their bodies. Men are the gatekeepers to marriages. Correct me if I'm wrong, in South Africa, what's the out of wedlock rate of children? Do you have a lot of single parent baby mamas in South Africa, or is it very rare?
It's Coach, I've been telling you that South Africa is fast becoming westernized.
Okay.
Social media, we're having shows. There's a show that was very popular here in the States I think it's called The Young, Rich, and African, where you saw the wigs and you saw us emulating. And that's what's happening, is we are emulating the negative aspects of American culture. Whereas before it was the positive aspects, the poetry, the literature, the music, which is what Black Americans are known for. Black Americans set the standard culturally.
Right.
And we in Africa just happen to be now, like I say, emulating the negative aspects of Black American culture. And that's what, but the thing is, in Africa is you don't get rewarded for it. You can't just take a man to court and get all of his salary. It's you will jump through hoops. So, and also men aren't as emasculated, that side. And also I understand people saying, you said before that men are somewhat complicit. No, we can't have that excuse as women anymore. You have so many avenues not to be pregnant. It's called birth control. So at the end of the day, if it's your body, then you can control not getting pregnant. You don't have to get to the point where you are pregnant. It's preventable. So men are not complicit for making a woman pregnant.
I guess why I say that, and I do see where you're coming from. That's why I say the overarching perspective, the onus is on the woman. But what I do say is that men play a role as well, and this is my opinion, because if they're practicing abstinence and the woman to practice abstinence, it never happens. But by and large, I do agree with you 1,000% that the greater responsibility is on the woman, because she determines who she allows inside her body. What percentage, Lulu, would you say has South Africa been impacted by the West? Would you say it's a high percentage, low percentage? What would you say?
I haven't really been home in a while. And like I said, I've been sick. I haven't really been keeping up.
Ma'am.
I know they at home, they're complaining. They're really, really complaining about the music. And Instagram. Instagram is the devil.
Yes, ma'am. I agree.
Instagram is the devil, and Instagram, I feel, was created, like I say, to highlight the negative aspects of the culture, because there is so much more that Black America contributes even now, but we're not allowed to talk about. You know what I mean? We're not allowed to talk about. Like I say, the manosphere is fast becoming. It's a movement, but it's being silenced.
Right.
You don't hear about things like that. You don't hear.
Right.
Certain musicians, certain rap artists are silenced because they're not talking about clapping cheeks. We're forced to listen to this feminist toxic crap. And so people's minds are allowed to go and elevate. But I don't know.
You sound muffled, dear. You sound far away.
I'm so sorry. I'm saying that I think I'm militant right now. Like I said, I feel like men have been so disempowered.
I can barely hear you. I can barely hear you.
And now?
I can hear you now. Yeah, perfect.
I was just saying, I don't know, maybe if it's become extreme, because being in the West, it's just changed my view on a lot of things. But men have been so disempowered in the West that, like I'm saying, that men aren't complicit anymore. Just because you lay down with a man, and it's unprotected, he gets to walk away. At the end of the day, you're the one that incubates. All of the responsibility is the woman's responsibility, and I think it's time that responsibility is solely laid at the feet of women. Right. Because even if we apportion just a little bit of blame to men, it's enough.
Right.
We're still learning as women to take accountability, and it's not something that we do well at all.
That's true. I totally agree with you. You're right, sis. I agree with you 1,000%. I would ask you a question, Lulu. You live in ATL, or you're in that area or around that area, wherever you're at. But anyway, what's your take on all the violence that's been going on in the Atlanta area here recently? They talked about a shooting in Lenox Mall recently. But what's your take about all this senseless violence going on at these clubs? And also in Atlanta, what's your take on it, based on what you've heard?
Like I say, for me, it goes beyond, just seeing it as crime. And like I say, it's where do these young men? I don't stay too far from something that happened recently. Future's baby mama, one of them, they attempted to rob her, and she's just up the street. So. And a couple of things have happened around where I am.
Oh wow!
There was a syndicate that was robbing people via Instagram. You're out there, you're flossing, you're showing what you have. So she just stays not too far from us, and that happened recently to her. My take, like I say, is it's young men, and let's go home. Let's see who raised you.
Right.
And if it's a single woman, which it usually is, that's the culprit. And then they're going to talk about the man not being in the house. If it's not conducive for a man to be in the house, you don't get along with him, and all you really need from him is child support, You know, we talk about black men not being in the home, but what home do you create for a black man to be there in the first place?
Wow.
What you know what I mean? I mean, there's a lot of dysfunctional women. There's a man today who was fighting for custody of his children, and the lady murdered both kids. I know of one of my husband's friends. He went out to Piedmont Park. There was something going on. He has been raising his daughter by himself. The baby mama saw him. She was with someone else, didn't come to him at the event. Next day, she comes waving a gun at him. And now he lost his job because he was stuck in jail. They arrested him even though she had the gun.
Oh,
I've
wow.
seen an instance where a woman called the police on her own brother.
Wow. Wow.
So I have personally, and it's only here that I've seen that. I have seen family members. I've seen, you know, this whole baby mama situation. But I have seen women using the law and weaponizing the law. I haven't seen men do it. I don't see men calling the police on women.
They normally don't. No, ma'am, they don't. Normally.
But we don't talk about that. But we will continuously talk about the black man who's not home. But we're not looking at these women and asking, why isn't he home? And if the black man is home and you have 4 baby daddies, who's supposed to stay home with you? Which one? Which one?
Yeah, that's it. Well, you listen. You dropping fire for folks' mind though tonight. You're correct. What you're saying is very true. That's why I call you the spirit of the mongoose, because you know mongooses be getting bit by serpents, but they fall back and they get back up again. And you're right. Accountability is something that we don't talk about, and that's why so many men are frustrated. Brothers like the young man I had on by the name of Houston. His name was Houston Holloman, or Houston Holloman, I believe. I can't think of his full name, but Mr. Holloman. And he's talking about his frustrations. One of the reasons why Sweet Little Bean, we got movies that are coming out, because it appears that people are not hearing what men are trying to say. Men are saying over and over again that they're frustrated, they're tired of the affection deprivation, the marriage deprivation, and also the relationship deprivation. And many of them, Sweet Little Bean, are traveling abroad because they are frustrated. I don't know if you got in contact with Mr. Turner.
No, he didn't. I don't know if it's me. I've been down and out, and I really feel bad for that. But like we said, we'll discuss that.
We'll discuss it. Right.
Yeah.
That's fine. But yeah, but like I was saying, yeah, a lot of folks are struggling and dealing with a lot of different things, and you know, the rap culture, the hood culture, the gang culture. I didn't realize certain parts of ATL was so bad, you know, and so like I said, I was up there Saturday, and luckily nothing happened, but this is the world that we live in. And, you know, I think you and JG are both right. I think we are in the latter days. I think we're in the latter times of human history, because I've never seen the world this dark before, because right is wrong and wrong is right. Anytime men or women like yourself begin to speak out, they're ashamed, they're chided, and, you know, folks just don't want to hear the truth anymore. So I think it is a byproduct of the last days, but also I think there is an attack on masculinity and men and boys and women like you. There are good women like yourself and the other sisters like Shalakimia and other women that are trying to speak out. But anytime you ladies speak out, you guys are held under scrutiny. I've never seen the world this bad before. Have you? I've never seen it this bad.
I think also, you know, when as I say, for me spiritually, I feel with the manosphere, with the movement growing, that black men are standing up, and it's not going to be something. It's going to take time. You know, I don't think black men are going to be in the same position because they're starting to see their value. They're starting to understand that I have options.
Yes.
I'm not stuck here. And it's going to get to a point where black American women will only wake up once everybody else has your men.
Mm-hmm.
I think it has to get to that point. Mm-hmm. where they understand, and where black men understand I have options. I don't have to be here. Mm-hmm. I can go and get somebody who will be grateful that I happen to look their direction.
Right.
Because you should be grateful when you get a man looking your direction.
Yes, ma'am. I totally agree. Yes, ma'am.
But for me, like I said, I feel the healing of the Black community as a whole is coming, and it is the savior that we're looking for me is a Black man. My Jesus, my God is here on earth, and he is in the form of a Black man. Because once you have a Black man being able to lead his family, being able to raise his children, you don't see this. So the solution has been handed to us, and like I say, it is the Black man. But just as soon as he takes his power back, just as soon as he sees his value, and it's coming. So for me, I believe that our angels are here on earth, and like I say, for me, it's the Black man. That's who I believe in, and that's who I see as a reflection of God for me.
I respect that, no doubt. I respect that. I respect your honesty and your candor and your position as well. JJ, real. Who's the other person that want to speak? Who's that? MC Recover. Go ahead, brother, real quick, because Lulu's dropping that fire for your mind on tonight. But real quick, what you think about what Lulu said, and also were you ever impacted by a bad mother? And then we're gonna sign off because I gotta get ready to go to the office in the morning. Go ahead.
Oh, well, hello, Coach JJ. Lulu Bean is right in the house.
Hi.
And I mean, she really put it on us, but I like it when she's on the show. The only impact that I had, because I said it on this other show, is that my mom has recently told me, and then her health ain't well, so it was like I was in and out of your show because she need in-home support services. But she recently told me that I have a sister, and when I was staying with her several years ago, she never gave me the letter. So I never met my father, but I heard him on the phone when he got in contact with me through my uncle after we had a family reunion out there in 2009. So the last time I heard from him was in 2010, 10 or 11, or it was somewhere up in there. So that's the only thing that's puzzling, is that she recently told me that she had a letter from a sister that I never met, and she don't even know the name. So I got to do all this tracking to track down siblings that I haven't met. Other than that, then it's some other glitches, but I can't really place them, because when you are alcoholic addict that's in recovery, it is that I did an inventory, and I seen some of the parts that I played.
Right.
But recently, I can see the damage and the destruction that she did by not communicating with family, because it was a result of us losing 7 commercial properties and 3 houses. So and then I think that's part of the issue, is that I think she had a nervous breakdown in between that destruction. So
So what do you mean by the destruction? Explain.
Well, you went to people outside of our family to discuss property, and then to lose it. And then when we confront her, this is all our inheritance gone. Commercial property left in 2012, and the last 2 houses in 2013. And me and my son was homeless for like 6 or 7 weeks.
Do you still get triggered for some of the bad behaviors of your mother? Do you still get triggered from that, by that? Real quick.
Well, as it was, not as much, but now, because of the manosphere, I can see how, even though she's up in age, she do know how to throw in that guilt to get you to feel guilty on certain things, like to try to side with her on everything.
Right.
Well,
Right. Mr. Benjamin, real fast, brother. It's about 22 minutes after the hour, 2 o'clock. I mean, well, actually, we've been here about 2 hours and 22 minutes. But go ahead, Yusef. I was about to add to the conversation about bad mothers.
Um, well, shoot, there I go again, coming in at the tail end of
Yeah,
things.
you always come in the tail end, bro.
It's like
It's
every
two
single
hours,
time.
2 hours and 22 minutes in, man. Listen, hit your notification button. Is your all notifications on?
Let me see about that.
Yeah, you need to check your notifications, man. Make sure your notifications are on. But anyway, real quick, I was trying to answer the
Hit the
conversation.
bell. Okay, I think I just clicked the bell. That might have been it. So, I would say that I mean, I think there was a time in the '90s where a lot of parents were physically abusive to their kids. That we call them spankings, right? So it's the getting the switch outside. It's the um, open hands, never had closed fists, kind of spankings, but I call them beatings now. So my mother, she did that along with my father, but that was just the way that they was raised and brought up to because that's how they were punished when they was children themselves. So they could only do um, or incorporate a level of punishment that they were familiar with at the time. So it wasn't until I got into my late teens when she started changing her ways. She started becoming a lot more, a lot more loving and caring, and just learning from her mistakes. So can't fault her much for that. But I would say that was probably the worst. I would say the second worst was when I had a candy store business when I was 13. And that's something my father encouraged me and my brother to do. We did that for about 2 or 3 years, and we became so popular, so in demand that there was lines going around the block waiting to get our candy and chips at the time, and pickles as well. But she was the one who put the end to that because she didn't like. Well, I know now she didn't like the traffic, but it was because she would say it was because it was too much trash on the front lawn. But that was something I would always take care of myself personally. So the trash on the lawn was more of an excuse to just shut it down because she didn't like the traffic to her house. My father was mad about that. I was upset about that, and I genuinely believe had I still done that until my mid-teens, then it would have transitioned into me owning a warehouse, selling it wholesale, and or possibly getting into the vending machine or vending business, which ironically is what I'm looking into now because I have fond memories of that, and I just remember just that abrupt canceling of just shut it all down. It was just wild because it was making so much money. So, but yeah, my father used to fight with her about that, just keeping that business going to keep boys occupied, because especially when you're a teenager, you got a lot of testosterone. You need to keep them, keep us out of the street. And it worked. My father was absolutely right. It worked. It kept us out of the street because you have a natural desire to want to make money, especially when you become a young man. And instead of going out there selling drugs and things like that, that's what my father had me do. But it was a constant battle for 3 years. And he lost it in the end. And there was nothing we could do because she owned the house. And that's the one thing that I absolutely detested. But outside of that, I can't say it's been like this traumatic experience, because I also accept that she's human, and of all the mothers that I've known outside of my own, from friends and different family members, mine's is people tell me that they wish they had my mother. That's just how exceptional she is overall. So I feel like I got really lucky.
But thank God you had a good one, man. But sadly, many don't have a good one like your
Yeah,
mom.
and I didn't know that. I didn't know that until I
Yeah,
got
man.
much later in life. I was like, "Whoa!" I was like, "Your mom did this."
Right.
I mean, I thought, what I just told you is like, she shut my candy store business down. She used to, spank us, pretty hard, but it was rare. It wasn't like it was a daily thing. She wasn't abusive or nothing like that. But when I hear the stories other people tell me about their mothers, I'm like, holy shit. I'm like, this is crazy, because I was just living in this bubble, and I thought what I had was fairly normal. But what I'm just pointing out is really just minor stuff compared to how traumatic other people's experiences with their mothers is.
Yeah. It happens, man, and it's happening all too often. That's why I did the story about all the young men that were impacted. One lost his life because his mama told him to go handle that, and the other son is actually going to be incarcerated along with his mother. She's got 18 years in prison, federal prison. So, but anyway, guys, we're going to sign off. Thank you guys for popping in on the panel. I appreciate it, brother Yusef. Lulu Ben, it's been a long time, dear. I missed you. JJ, thank you, sir, and MC Recovery Wellness, guys. We're going to sign off, and I'll be seeing you guys soon. I got some more shows coming up soon, guys. Y'all take care. Please share the content, share the stream, and guys, be seeing you guys soon, okay? Be well. Thank you.
Take care.
All right, be good, brother. All right.
Bye, everyone.
Pain. I've been there, locked up inside my head, broken from fear, illusions, disappointment, and hopelessness. Who heard me in my silence, where being a man means nothing? Despair. I've been there too, desperately seeking answers for the questions associated with manhood, hills and valleys, too bleak to compare. Stress, suffering in a utility silo, no comfort, no security, no freedom, no justice, just do it for others. Challenges, who will help me break the challenges? Lost in the vortex of darkness, hopelessness, fear, and abandonment. I've been there too. I've been there too. Take the next step to your destiny. Join me in this fight. Walk forward. Deep breaths. Head held high, men. Come join me, men, in the winds of time. Stories, hopes, visions, purified in the fire. I'm not a superhero, and I'm not the Reverend Knight. I'm here to help you. Join me, men, in this fight. Break the chains of your mind. Let's do it now. For now is all we have. Fire. The kosher clinician.